In this lesson, I'm going to show you a little bit more about the panels and the toolbox and some of the online help sources, if we have time. So let's open a flash file just so we have our screen up, and hit F4 so we can see our toolbox here, our panels here. Alright, so Flash may default to putting certain panels here, but don't feel limited by them, because these are all part of your arsenal, and you can minimize them like so, expand them, change the width, for instance, how wide you want this section to be. You can make your panels larger or smaller. Now you notice there's, if I expand this one, that there are tabs within the panels. So in this case we have library and action frame. Up here we have transform, so we'd have to open up that panel. But there's no object to transform at this point. So a lot of those same commands we noticed up here where we could transform an object. A lot of those things can be accomplished over here from the panel as well. Color swatches. If we're drawing an object, creating an object, we can use our color swatches to pick the exact color we want. And there's a lot of different options within the color swatches. So anyway, and then over here there's more options that pertain to that panel. Duplicate that swatch, that particular color, add colors, replace colors, load default colors, save colors, clear colors, sort by color. A lot of different options. But we're not going to get into the details of each of these panels at the moment, because the more you progress in your lessons, we're going to use these panels. So for now, I want to show you that you don't have to see them either minimized or maximized like so. For instance, this is all three that happen to be up in their minimized state. But you can also, which I think is very useful, you see these two arrows up here? When you hit that, it condenses them so they're not, all you have to do is, let's say, click on library, and then brings up that particular panel as you need it. And then you hit the two arrows here again, and it's back. So it's just a different view, and the more you use the program, the more you're going to know which view is more conducive to your style of working. Same with swatches. Any other panel. So I thought that was kind of a neat way of arranging the panels rather than how it's defaulted like so. So whatever works well for you, and like I said, you can adjust it left to right. You can pull panels down, rearrange them if you want them in different spots, pull tabs around, move them. So basically it's going to arrange them normally in such a way that items that are tabbed together are normally of similar nature. So you can still pull them around, or let's say you had only like 4 or 5 tabs that you use on a regular basis, and rather than making separate panels for them, we can just grab the tabs and move them around all to one panel, and then those are the 5 tools or whatever, the 3 tools that you're going to use the most. So you can just switch back and forth. See, in this case, transform doesn't make as much sense to me that it's with swatches. So now I've put transform in its own panel. See, I just moved it out of that section. And I could do the same thing with action frame. I could move it out of its own. See, like so. And now all of them are on separate panels. Or like I said, I could pull them all into one, or group them whatever way I want. Now, let's minimize these panels. So up here in Window, I alluded to this earlier, this is where you choose which panels you want displayed over here to the right. And you'll notice that, for instance, timeline is checked. And that's this section actually here. This is our timeline section, if you remember. Now here we have properties and library. Now library is already over there, so now that's checked and it's expanded library. But like for instance our transform and our swatches, they're already there. But if we wanted the info tab, which wasn't there, we've just added that through window. Or a line, if we want a line there, it's added that tab. So whichever panels of tools you want displayed over here, you can choose them from here or uncheck them so they're deleted from your panels section. So like I said, the more you use the program, the more you're going to see which tools you're going to want in your panels section, and you can go from there. Alright, let's quickly do the help section, something you're going to commonly be using in the beginning stages of using the program. So the two basic areas I was going to show you is Flash Help, which is just a help section like so, and you can search. Perhaps, let's say you want to search for swatch. See, now it's found a lot of different pages on color picker, which is what a swatch is, a particular color or grouping of colors. Or history panel. Let's try that. Aha, see? Then we have a page, undo, redo, and history, using the history panel. Now here it tells you if you want the history panel, go to Window, Other Panels, History. Okay, so let's try that. Let's exit out of this help section. And this is one I wanted to show you we could add. If you go down here to Other Panels, here are some other panels that we can add. And this one may be a useful one for you to add, History. So there, it brings it up. I can pull it over here. Now, rather than doing edit, undo, redo, or just using Control-Z to back up, the more changes we make to a project, it'll keep adding different entries. And so we might have a long list, and we say, okay, I want to go back to that point. So that way you don't have to keep hitting Control-Z, Control-Z. You just pick the point in the history that you want to go back to. So it's a good panel to have up if you're making a lot of changes to a document. Alright, so that we just got that from the help section, for instance. Another useful resource is Help Resources Online. And we kind of saw a few of these when we originally went from the welcome page. So let's bring this up. Once the internet decides to move more quickly. It does not seem to be moving quickly today. Okay, so internet is working. Let's try this again. Help Resources Online. So perhaps it's just Adobe's site that is slow at this moment. Let's give it a second. All right. So another good tool to remember is our zoom tool here. And this is right below the timeline, in between our main content, or where the project is, and the timeline. So this is our workspace, right? So we can move around the workspace, or we can zoom in. We can show all. And what that did is that zoomed it to a point where it's zoomed in as far as it can zoom in and still show you the whole workspace. Fit to window, very similar also. Or we can look at it very bird's eye and backed out to 50% or 25%. Editing symbols, editing a scene. This is another option that can be used to go back to the default workspace. So all those changes we made over here with the panels, this is what it's brought back to as default. So It's basically just got colors and swatches in the same panel, as well as library. And also the property inspector down here. So depending on the object you're clicked on, it's going to give you different properties, whether it's an image or an animation or a video. It's going to show you the properties of the object you've selected. In this case, there is no object, so it's telling me the background canvas is white. This is what the frame rate is set up for as far as the timeline. This is the size of our workspace or canvas. And then we have filters and parameters, which we're not going to get into right now. So this is the properties section down here. Let's go back to our web page and see if it came up. The slow Flash site. Yes, okay. See, it was just slow in coming up. So these are some of the Flash resources that you may find very useful. User guides. So detailed information on using the features and functions of Flash. You can look at the PDF of it. Flash video encoder. You may not get into that right away. Here's a good one. Quick starts. All right. And then let's go back. And samples. And you notice it says download samples to help you learn how to use various features of Flash. Available samples include accessibility, behaviors, data integration, Flash JavaScript, masking, working with graphics and text, various samples that demonstrate ActionScript 2.0 features. All right. So a lot of different resources online. Also, if you notice over here to the right, additional resources, support for your product. That's something you're going to want to remember. A training section, very useful. Instructor-led courses, professional development workshops, books. So Flash tutorials, release notes, forums where you can discuss with other users. So a lot of different options under Flash resources from within the Adobe Flash site. I'm going to close all tabs. All right. Here endeth the lesson.